of your critics are saying that you should resign because you misled the Queen with regard to shutting Parliament down. How do you respond to that?
Well, as I said earlier on, thank you very much. Well, as I said earlier on, let's be absolutely clear. We respect the judiciary in our country. We respect the court. I disagree profoundly.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson responding to his loss by the Supreme Court, a unanimous decision against his decision to suspend Parliament while he worked on details of his own Brexit plan. To former aide to Margaret Thatcher, Nile Gardiner, who says the suspension being ruled unlawful will not impact Boris Johnson's plans. Good to see you, Nile. So bottom line is, did he mislead the Queen? I mean, that's essentially what they're saying over there.
I don't think that Boris Johnson misled the Queen at all. He was acting upon the advice from the Attorney General, Geoffrey Cox, who advised that this was perfectly legal to prorogue Parliament. And of course, it is standard parliamentary procedure to prorogue Parliament. What was unusual in this case was the length of the prorogation or suspension of Parliament. But clearly, I think there was no attempt by the Prime Minister to mislead the Queen. And the Prime Minister acted upon the legal advice which was available to him. So I don't think Boris Johnson is going to be going anywhere at all.
Okay.
He's not going to resign, as he made clear in his statement alongside President Trump in New York this morning. And
is this decision, I mean, this is a unanimous decision by the UK Supreme Court. I mean, that must have some effect on his actions going forward, no?
Well, this simply means that Parliament basically resumes tomorrow, and it gives perhaps extra time to the Remainers who are opposed to Brexit to cause further trouble. I think that is the reality of the situation right now. But the government is determined to deliver Brexit on October 31st, which is the will of the British people, and the opposition now has a choice of whether it wants to call a vote of no confidence in the government or not. If it does so, that will lead to a general election before the October 31st deadline. The polls show the Conservatives will win big, actually, if an election is held in October. So it remains to be seen whether Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, goes ahead and calls for a vote of no confidence.
Now, we did have some word, by the way, we're looking at the market down triple digits right now. That's presumably mostly on the basis of China and whether they were offended by some of the remarks that the president made about them in his United Nations speech. Apparently there is some kickback to that. But on the good news side, Niall, is that the UK may be able to work out some kind of trade agreement with the United States while Boris Johnson's here.
Well, it was very significant, I think, that at the heart of the President's UN address this morning was a call for a US-UK free trade deal, and also the President's reiteration of his support for the principles of sovereignty and self-determination, so fundamentally important, of course, in terms of Brexit. And I think the Trump administration is 100% committed to delivering a US-UK free trade deal. Those talks and discussions have been taking place now for over 2 years. And as soon as Brexit is implemented on October 31st, you are going to see the formal negotiations in place between London and Washington. And I expect in 2020, you are going to see a free trade deal between the world's largest and fifth largest economies. So all the stars are in alignment for that. But Britain needs to get out of the EU first. And Boris Johnson is firmly committed to doing so on October 31st. And I hope that Britain gets out of the shackles of the European Union as quickly as possible, and Britain can move forward then with negotiating and implementing and signing a large-scale free trade deal with the United States.
So you're against Brexit, I take? No, I'm joking. I'm joking, Niall. Forgive me. You made your views pretty clear there. Nile Gardiner, great to see you. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
Great to see you, David. Thank you.